Hey guys, Scott Patton here. I got my June top 5 picks here for you guys, okay? I know that a lot of you don't fish on lakes that have ledges where you're going to ledge fish and stuff. So probably what I'm going to do is do a two-part video, or two different videos. And this is going to be more offshore stuff. They're like lakes like we got on Tennessee River, Chickamauga, Kentucky Lake, Pickwick, anywhere where you might have some offshore fishing. These baits are probably going to be your best 5, okay? And again, I'll go over probably my pick 5 that I'll have for like river fishing and that type of stuff. So let's get into this. I'm gonna start out, of course, with the crankbaits, and I use a variety of crankbaits. Most of these run probably about 12 foot deep. I've got a Lucky Craft right here. This right here is a Blue and Chartreuse Lucky Craft 3.5 RTO, which is an excellent crankbait. I use these a lot anywhere on the Tennessee River, and of course I'm going to be fishing these offshore on ledges. It's hard to throw a crankbait like a deep diving crankbait if you got grass growing on top of it. So you're going to have to make sure you're fishing these on a ledge where you got a clean bottom, and that way they're not hanging in the grass. So my number 1 pick is going to be the deep diving crankbaits, and here's a Rapala DT16 and Green Gizzard, another great bait. And then I've got the Lucky Craft 6XD and the Green Gizzard. On the Tennessee River, I really like Green Gizzards. I do really good with them. I think it imitates our shad here on the Tennessee River real well. So if you're not fishing that color, you may want to try them. Now, it's not the only color I'm going to use. Citrus shad has always been good on Tennessee River. And again, like I said, the blue and chartreuse colors are excellent. So have 2 or 3 of those different baits picked out, and fish them on these ledges and see how those work for you. Now, usually a crankbait is going to work best when they're pulling current. So that's kind of important, you guys, when you're fishing offshore, is which bait's going to work best depending on the current and the given pressure you have on the lake at the time when you're fishing. Second pick is going to be probably my favorite one to fish. It's going to be a 3/4 ounce football jig. This is one that I make myself, and I use a 3/4 ounce and a 1 ounce jig mainly on the ledges. I love this bait because it catches fish for one. Also, when I'm fishing it down there on the ledges and stuff, you guys, it helps me locate mussel beds because you really got good contact with that heavy head drags across there. It's going to feel like you're dragging across gravel. Or if you're hitting some stumps and stuff like that, you can find those real easy and hit a waypoint on them and save them. But so when you're ledge fishing in June, of course, you cannot be without a football jig. And like I say, a 3/4 or 1 ounce is what you can go with. Usually green pumpkin purple, something I've always done well with, over the years on Kentucky and Pickwick and on Chickamauga. You want to mix up and try different colors depending on the time of day. Sometimes you might go with a green pumpkin and browns. It's going to be a little bit darker earlier in the morning or later in the day. You can try different colors throughout the day depending on how bright the sun is, okay? It can make a big difference. I use different trailers on this. This is a twin tail right here. I use a lot of different jig trailers on here, but usually most of the time that twin tail really works well because when it's falling, it has a lot of action. A lot of times when fish hit that jig on them ledges while it's falling, and also while you're going along the bottom. So my number 2 pick is, of course, going to be the football jig, you guys. All right, my 3rd pick is another real good bait. It's going to be fishing a big worm, and I've got all kinds of fish on this, and I use a variety of worms. Of course, both of these right here I've got are in blue fleck. My favorite number 1 color is blue fleck, but I use June bug, watermelon red, watermelon candy. A lot of, again, with plastics, you guys see what they're preferring. And sometimes you can mix it up if you're fishing a ledge for a long time on the color of your worms in order to catch more fish. This one right here is a Zoom Old Monster. Can't hardly beat this worm. It's an excellent worm. And blue fleck. I'll let you see that thing. They also make a Old Monster, a Mag Old Monster, which is a good worm also. I use it as well. I don't have any in here with me. I'm going to show you how I rig this up here in just a second. And this is a KVD bullwhip worm, another bait that catches a bunch of fish on the ledges. It's a big worm. Now sometimes you might bite that off some where it's not as long. You have to play around with that. And I'll Texas rig these, and something else on both worms. I'll Texas rig them, and something else I'll do too, you guys, is I will use what I call a wobble head. That's a 3/4 ounce. Like I said, it's 3/4 ounce in football jig, and this wobble head works really well. I've got that's a 5/0 hook. You can buy these from a lot of different companies. It's real simple how to rig that. Just gonna stick that in there about a 1/4 inch. Slide it through just like that. Slide it up on the keeper, the hook, the offset part. And then I'm gonna hold that hook. I'm gonna hold that hook right there. I'm gonna put my thumb right there where that is. I'm gonna stick that straight through that worm. Stick it through, and then I'm gonna just skin hook it just like that. Push it up, slide it back, get the skin hook. All right. Like I say, you can see that's a wobble head right there, you guys. And what happens with this, especially again, you're talking about fishing offshore and there's current on, depending on the current they're pulling. So this thing here, the lead will be sitting on the bottom, of course, and the current can just move this worm naturally. Okay, so this is something that really will trigger the fish. You catch a lot of fish with it. So make sure you get you some of these wobble heads, you guys, and fish your worms on there. And I won't just fish the whip worm on this. I'll also fish that zoom worm on there too, the old monster. Okay, so there's another way you can rig that up and fish that thing. Now, when I am fishing offshore, I will also Texas rig a worm. All right, so what you want to do is I usually throw it always on 15-pound test line. All right, and I'm gonna take this and thread the. I always like to use a bobber stopper, so I'm going to put the bobber stopper on that eye on that bobber stopper to pull that through there. Got oil on my hands from that worm. One thing I like to do when I'm fishing offshore is I like to make sure my worm sinker is the same color my worm. A lot of times this deep water is clear and fish can see that, but I'll use a pro tungsten in this red color. Goes good with this blue fleck. And like I say, guys, I apologize I had to bring a hook in, but I'll put my bobber stopper on. Thread that on there. And of course I would tie my hook on. Alright, alright, I got my bobber stopper on there. I'm going to slide my weight on there. Now I'll usually use, this is a 1/2 ounce. That's normally what I use when I use a worm. It doesn't seem like you have to go as heavy when you're fishing offshore with the worm weight as you do a jig. The plastic's more streamlined and you can feel the bottom fine with a 1/2 ounce. Now if you start getting a lot of current, then guys, you may want to go up to a heavier weight, where they'll make the bait fall straight down and fish the legs away. The current's not going to wash it away. So after that, then I'm going to take a 5/0 or a 6/0 hook. Tie a Palomar on here. I'll use different knots and stuff, but just for ease of it. Palomar on there. Turn it on there, cut that excess off. Make sure it's good and snug. Alright. So after that, I'm going to pull my bobber stopper down. Got your Texas rig just like that for you guys, okay? And I'll go ahead and thread this worm on here. Stick it in about a 1/4 inch, you guys. Slide it through, basically like a wobble head. You can slide it up on the keeper. Again, I'm gonna hold my finger right there where the hook's gonna go through the worm. I want to stick it straight through. I don't want to put it in an angle. I want to stick it straight through. And just skin hook it again right there. You can see how well that matches that worm. So that's why I really feel it's important to try to match up your worm weights, your pro tungstens weights with the color of your worm. So you can see the big difference that makes. And those fish can see that it'll make a big difference. So that was my number 3 pick, you guys, is Texas rigging a worm or fishing a wobble head on offshore ledges. My 4th choice, you guys, is going to be Dropshot. You know, I absolutely love the Dropshot. And for years on Kentucky Lake, when it was declining and just when all the pressure got on Kentucky Lake, you know, everybody still wanted to fish all those big baits and everything. I caught a bunch of fish when I know, I can see other guys not doing as well by fishing big worms and big crankbaits all the time. I was drop shotting right behind them and right with them and putting plenty of good fish in the boat. So a drop shot will catch you a lot of fish under a lot of pressure, and also when there's not much current. Don't think you can't fish it when there isn't current, because when there is current, because you can. It's good all the time. It just catches fish. But when it seems like you're struggling out there, then it's hard to get bites on the bigger baits. That drop shot's gonna be the one thing you go to and catch you fish. My favorite color of all the way around is usually morning dawn for largemouth. Here, especially in Tennessee rivers and different lakes, I'll use a 6-inch. That's a robo worm I got right there. I got rigged up here. I'll use that. Like I said, I got a 3/8 ounce pro tungsten drop shot weight. I'll use 3/8 weights and 1/2 ounce, depending on the current and just how deep I'm going to actually fish with it. Because sometimes I'll fish this off into the current, off into the ledge, drop off itself, not just on top of the ledge. And a lot of times when I do that, then I'll go to a 1/2 ounce weight. And again, this is a good technique to use if you're fishing a lake that has a lot of bluff walls and stuff. This time of year, you can fish this thing down the ledges and stuff, or the bluff walls, and catch fish with it as well. You either use an open hook, rig an open hook, or you can use a small Texas rig hook on that to, if you're fishing around, like I said, even especially if you're fishing on the bluff walls and stuff like that, or if you got some grass patches or maybe some laydowns or stumps down there where you're fishing offshore, then you may want to go and use the Texas rig on that instead of the open stop hook like that. All right. I use a lot of different companies, of course, which I do in a lot of different baits. Robo Worm makes a lot of good ones. Strike King makes a lot of good ones. KVD Dream Shot catches a ton of fish. So you're going to want to use the 6-inch and the 4-inch worms. Sometimes I'll even take that 6-inch worm. If I can't get them to eat it, I might bite off an inch of it, and it'll start triggering some bites. Just the other day on a guy trip here on Chickamauga, we was having trouble catching them on crankbait and stuff. They were pulling a little current, about 27,000, but just wasn't enough to really get them fish fired up. So we started drop shotting, and then we started putting fish in the boat. So my number 4 pick is, of course, going to be your drop shot. My number 5 pick is going to be a bait I really fish all summer long, deep or shallow. But if you're fishing, in June, you still got a lot of fish shallow. You still got a lot of bluegill shallow. Still a lot of shad even shallow. Especially if you got gizzard shad, and here on Chickamauga we've got what is like a wild shiner, like the shiner they got in Florida that actually swims in this lake, and they stay shallow a big part of the year, and especially through June. So what I'll do is I'm just going to wacky rig this worm. I'll use green pumpkin magic works good. Blue fleck again is always good color. This is a Strike King. This is a blue fleck fat baby finesse worm by Strike King in blue fleck. That's a good worm. It's got a good profile. It's a little bit different than just it's a little bit different than just a Cinco. You can see the profile on that worm. That works really good wacky rigging, guys. If you haven't used that, so I'll do that. And I'm just still using the 1-inch nail weight. I'll move offshore where that hydrilla and stuff's growing tall, or around laydowns on. You can fish it around laydowns on bluff walls, mouth of creeks and stuff like that. Is where this bait's going to still catch a lot of fish. Around any kind of grass, it's going to catch fish on the wacky worm. So I can't leave out the wacky. So I can't leave out the wacky worm as far as my June picks, because I know I will fish it a lot all the way through June here on Chickamauga, fishing up in the river, fishing the hydrilla and stuff in the grass. So it's something you guys can do too. But anyways, that is going to be my top picks for June. I hope this will help you guys catch more fish. I really appreciate you guys watching. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit the like bell, share this video, and we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks, guys. Hey guys, one thing we're going to do different this month is we're going to have a giveaway. In order to win, you're going to have to be a subscriber, and leave a comment on this video, okay? And we're going to randomly pick a winner, and we're going to give away a $50 lure pack. There'll be random lures that I'll pick, and we'll send them to you guys. Be sure to subscribe and leave a comment, guys. We'll see you on the water.